This is WMNF Tampa.
Good morning and welcome to The Skinny for Friday, December 6th. I'm Mitch Perry, the senior political reporter for the Florida Phoenix, joined today by my colleague Ben Montgomery, author and independent journalist. Good morning, Ben.
Hey, good morning, Mitch. Glad to be here. How are you doing?
Great to have you here with us. Ray's not here with us, but the two of us will be here for most of the show on the program.
Ray?
What's that?
Where's Ray?
Yeah, where is Ray? Ray is doing a TV show that I am as well, but I'm here though. So anyway, you can check that out later tonight on your local PBS affiliate. But also want to tell you later on the program today, we're going to be talking with Stephanie Davis. She's a filmmaker and founder of Bouncy Boxer Media, a film and video production company in St. Petersburg. And her film, A New Year's Ride, is playing at the Tampa Bay Underground Film Festival, which is going on this weekend. And so you'll want to look forward to hearing that. But first, let's talk more politics, okay? You know, it's interesting because we're talking to our guests right before we begin here with Democrats, especially maybe phasing out Newswise, don't want to deal with things after the November 5th election. And maybe we'll do that as well as we look forward to 2025 and the legislative session coming up. But we'll do a little more of these post-mortems here. And our guest today is Jennifer Griffith. She is the chair of the Pinellas County Democratic Party. And Jennifer, thank you so much for joining us here in the studio here on The Skinny.
Thanks for having me, Mitch.
Great to have you here with us. So I just learned before the show, let's just talk about this. So the Pinellas County, as all local parties are doing, Hillsborough just had an election this past Monday. They have a new chair there. Ione Townsend is gone after about 9 years. Vanessa Lester is the new chair there. And this is going on with Republican and Democratic parties throughout the state, as well as a state party, as it were. But there's a reorganization meeting this coming Monday in Pinellas, and you will not be running for re-election.
No,
for chair.
I'm not running for re-election as chair. I will stay committed and involved, joining the state committee for the Florida Democratic Party, and I'll stay on the board of the county party. But yes, stepping aside.
Was this always a decision to still keep it for 2 years, or did maybe things that happened this year make you decide I don't want to do this anymore, be a chair?
No, it was pretty much always a decision within my family. They know what kind of person I am, and I dive in 10 toes down, and that was a full commitment of 7 days a week for 2 years. So I gave it everything I had.
Yeah, it left it on the field, as they say. Okay, so, all right.
What will you be doing for this on the state committee?
State committee. So to explain the state committee, all state parties, well, I can't speak for any other state party, truly. Florida has a state committee. Interestingly, we expanded it 2 years ago. It used to be 2 people per county, and they had what was called a weighted vote based proportionately on the amount of Democrats per county.
And a committee man, a committee woman from each county.
Yes,
yeah.
Based on gender. And so what was happening is the committee members from our largest counties held the highest votes. They would have 60 votes per person, and they could basically sway anything that we were doing with 3 counties. And so we made it more even. Now there will be 18 state committee members for Pinellas County.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah.
So a lot more committee members, the whole state now. And that was a very controversial thing inside the party back when the party was competitive in statewide elections. But anyway, we'll move on. We're going to talk about it.
Is that important history? Or?
Well, Ben, I will say this. It was really controversial. Yeah. When they would elect new party chair people, and Nikki Fried, of course, is the current chair right now. But the election of that, it was because, as Jennifer said, certain counties, Miami-Dade, the big counties had a real disproportionate, weight on the vote. Yeah. And so inside the party, people were very angry about that. And people who were involved in the party for years, activist-oriented ones especially, were like, we got to change this. So at least they have done that inside their own party.
Right.
Yes.
And that was changed recently.
It was changed about 1.5 years ago. Yeah. So this will be our first session or term with the expanded state committee, which is, I think it's something like 5 votes per state committee member now versus as weighted as it used to be. And yes, Miami-Dade, Broward, Brevard, or Palm Beach.
Sorry for being an idiot when it comes to this sort of stuff, but I feel like inside baseball like this is sometimes important to understand. So what sorts of decisions does the committee make? And in the past, what kinds of things were counties like Miami-Dade sort of controlling that locals were objecting to?
Mitch just got it.
Well, I think the party chair.
Yeah,
the
party chair. Yeah, he got it. And we had I think the last big kerfuffle was 2017, when we got Stephen Battelle.
Right.
And that was that Miami-Dade DEC election, reorganization election was interesting to say the least.
And these are Democrats, so they're always kind of fighting with each other.
Yeah.
Right.
Yes.
So let's talk about the party here in Pinellas County. Really, I think, and I wanted to write the story, I did not, but the change from 2020 to 2024 in terms of the state of politics in Florida, and we talk about this all the time on the Skinny here about how it's changed so dramatically since coronavirus and how the state's become much more Republican than it was. And Pinellas County, going back 4 years ago, was in the national news because as we had the Joe Biden, Donald Trump election then, I was looking at a swing county, and basically at that point, I think Pinellas had voted for the ultimate presidential winner 10 out of the last 11 elections. I think the only one that had it was in 76 when Jimmy Carter beat Gerald Ford by like 2 percentage points, and the Pinellas went for Jerry Ford. So it has really been a barometer, a classic moderate county, whether it's Democrat or Republicans, very moderate. And in that count, in 2020, Joe Biden did win in Pinellas by 0.22%, less than 0.5%, less than 0.25%. It was so close. And of course, Trump won the state by 3, but Biden won the country by 4 points. And then you flash forward to now, and it was never really in doubt, Pinellas County, that it was going to go red. It went red in 2022 with Ron DeSantis winning, as he took so many blue counties that year. The trend was already happening in terms of the influx of Republican voters. I think it was, 4 or 5 points in Pinellas this last month that Trump defeated Kamala Harris.
Yes. Right
around that time. And the same thing roughly with Rick Scott over Debbie Merkersol Powell. So you were involved with this the last 2 years. And then, this big momentous election, and it was a tough one for all Democrats. So tell me your thoughts and feelings now that it's all over for what you were involved with.
I think, and it's interesting because it comes back to you. I went into this thinking that our inactive voters were going to be a lot more active than what they were. We had a universe of about 45,000 inactive voters in Pinellas County. Now, what is an inactive voter? Do you know this? Maybe your listeners aren't. So
yeah, let's talk about that.
So aware. An inactive voter is somebody who hasn't voted in the last 2 general election cycles but can still vote. They have not been removed from the rolls. Now, this is kind of a needle in a haystack situation that was created legislatively through our governor, through Governor DeSantis, by removing us from ERIC, and then also with the new voter registration laws that he put into place in 2023. So with all of that mixed in, it left a giant pool of people that we weren't really sure if they were here or if they moved or if they're still voting. So it was a big bundle of hope that we might be able to squeeze some out of that. That did not materialize. Out of that 45,000 voter universe, 2,995 voted.
Right. And there were reporters who were reporting this that just talked about the discrepancy with Republicans and Democrats and how and now it's over a million, 50,000. It's over a million now.
Yes.
Again, this is so dramatic. It was before 2021, the state had more Democrats than Republicans. It has changed since then, and every month it gets bigger and bigger and bigger. And there are certain folks, some Democrats, like yourself, like Nikki Fried, would say, well, hey, there's these voters that, it's not really a million voters. Yeah. It's less than that. And it was less than that in terms of, like you say, those people who hadn't voted the last 2 elections, but still, were not gone away, not necessarily dead or moved away. But basically, it played out like that.
It did.
It did. And so, as we know, Trump won by 13 points here in the state. By far the biggest margin, I don't know, ever for a presidential election. I don't know, in Florida. Maybe in 64 when LBJ beat Goldwater. But, when Trump wins by 3 points, people joked about, oh, that was a landslide in Florida. Boy, that was a long time ago.
Yes.
And so... And I know, let's talk locally. You had a couple county commission races that I know that was a big thing too. And you lost those. Charlie Justice lost to Vince Nowicki. Cookie Kennedy lost to Chris Scheer. Did you think you were going to win those?
I was not completely sure about Cookie, although polling was looking good for Cookie. I was pretty confident about Charlie Justice because he's been with us for so long. He's such a stalwart. He's such an excellent elected. Everything he does, he's just such a great person. And that was the telltale election outcome that basically just made me shut my computer election night and go home. Once I saw those results come in, I knew what the rest was going to be.
It was going to be a bad night. Charlie Crist had been, Charlie Justice had been there for 12 years as a county commissioner. And of course, he was a state legislator from St. Pete for many years before that in the legislature. And now, let's move to, we'll go back to this election, but now it has real life consequences with the Tampa Bay Rays situation. Folks probably know the Rays yesterday, the St. Pete City Council did approve the bonds for the Rays. And now we're left going back to the county commission in the next couple of weeks. I think I saw you on social media. You are a supporter of the Rays staying, I think many people are, but in terms of the deal that has been made, you think you're okay with that deal, St. Petersburg and Pinellas County, how it went down?
I'll be completely honest and say I have not read the deal, so I can't say whether I love the deal or not.
Yeah.
But what I can say, as a lifelong Pinellas resident, as someone who watched the stadium be built and the dreams of baseball come and all of the things and what it was in the 90s to get baseball here. It was just a giant lift. The entire county, practically the state, was trying to get a baseball team here. And then we go through, how many different mayors have we gone through in St. Pete where we're doing this deal over again and over again and over again?
17 years this drama has been going on.
It's exhausting. And so we get to this point. We have this election. We have a couple of blustery people on the county commission now rather than serious individuals. And they do this. They blow it up or get really close to blowing it up. And they are still very close to blowing it up. And that team, to me, as a resident more than anything else, is what created downtown St. Pete. So for all of the people looking at dollars and cents and property tax, why are you playing this game? So, that's where we are.
Right. And again, if you're just tuning in, we're speaking with Jennifer Griffith. She's the outgoing chair of the Pinellas County Democratic Party. She basically moves on, and there'll be a party election on Monday. We're talking about what happened, of course, on November 5th here. Now, Amendments 3 and 4 did pass in Pinellas County.
Yes.
For all that matters. It doesn't change what happens in the county, unfortunately. You have to feel good about that, at least.
I feel intrigued by that because it says that, it just to me says more about what voters are thinking and where their minds are and how we need to expand what we believe they're thinking. I think we're very narrowed into, we're siloing people, which people are actually, we already discussed this before the show started, siloing up via social media and all these things. I think we look at voters as buckets. It's been said, right? And these two outcomes for Amendment 3 and 4 versus our electoral outcomes, it's kind of a dichotomy. So it's an interesting thing for us to look at.
Now, we were expecting also, all these liberals are moving to Blue Sky. They're leaving X, and they're for different reasons, maybe just Elon Musk. But I have mixed feelings about this. I think it's, I have mixed feelings about social media. I'm not a big fan, but we just live with it, obviously. But the fact that liberals are retreating, kind of go into their bubble here, let's just talk about themselves. And I thought the answer, although the questions and answers will continue for months, if not years, about how the Democrats win national elections and win back here in Florida. But the point is to expand and not to collapse or condense. I don't know if that's what's happening when people don't want to engage with others. And I get it. There's trolls or there's negative folks. But you're saying that you've been on Blue Sky and you've been on Blue Sky for a long time, a year, and that you got trolled early on there.
I didn't get trolled early on. I got trolled recently. I got trolled since the election, which was since everybody left and went to Blue Sky. All of the liberals are going to the Blue Sky Twitter. And I made a post for the first time in probably 8 months, and it was about Trans Night of Remembrance. I go back and check it a few days later, and that post was trolled with a violent post of, I don't even want to say it on air, but sure. It was violently trolled, and I'd never been trolled like that on any other social media platform. So, yeah.
Right. So much for being in a safe space.
It is, there are no safe spaces.
Right. So how do you're still going to be very much involved with the party here, and that there are more Republicans registered. And I was talking to you about this, months ago about because let's talk about the election CD13 race, Anna Paulina Luna versus Whitney Fox, and of course you had a very contested, interesting Democratic primary going on for months there earlier. We had the debate here in July with those candidates, and I was surprised even then. You had high quality candidates there, and I'm thinking, wow, they all think they have a chance of winning in a county that they're good candidates here, but like this is like it's about numbers here, and it seems like there's so many more Republicans. Anna Paulina Luna won a couple years ago by 8 points, and this time she won by 10 points. That had to be hard for you.
It was tough, and I think I'll speak for myself. I won't speak generally. I think I am very good at convincing myself there might be some nugget somewhere that we can squeeze the low turnout voters, squeeze this. It was a R+5 based on Cook Political going in. And actually, maybe R6.
Yeah.
And
R6.
last year it was R7. So they dropped it a little bit, and it looked hopeful. It looked like there might be a chance. And with going back to 2020 and Biden winning Pinellas in 2020, you can configure a hope puzzle out of that. And that's where we were, I think.
It does seem that the NPAs, we've heard this from a lot of Democrats, is that that's going to be our hope, because the state is roughly a third, between a fourth and a third, independent. And so they could go with us. Maybe they're turned off by Ron DeSantis. Maybe they're turned off by the social, the culture war stuff that we've seen here in Florida the last couple of years. That will be, and then maybe in Pinellas County, we consider Anna Paulina Luna as too right wing for what the county has been historically, et cetera, et cetera. But, it seems to me, again, the Republican Party in Pinellas is like the Republican Party in Hillsborough, like the Republican Party in Florida, which is, it's a Trump party now. And so the moderates, they're there still, who haven't left the party, but they're not the majority. And so, Barry Edwards, our mutual friend here, he has talked about NPA voters, and Barry says, and I think he's probably accurate about this, people think that they're mostly centrist, right? Like they could go this way and that way. And he says that there's some, a small percentage that are, but most are disaffected Democrats and Republicans who they're Democrat. They think the Democrat Party isn't left wing enough, and so they don't want to be part of the party. But they'll maybe vote for the party that way, or maybe not. But that it's not like this whole open field of people that you can get, because if you look at it, you go, okay, so there's a +6 part. Pinellas County CD 13 is +6 for Anna Paulina Luna. How do we win? Well, we've got 25% of these voters are not registered as Republican or Democrat. So we get those over here. That's how we win. And that, makes sense as an argument.
Thinks, though, right, it's not going to the middle that's going to win those voters. Mm-hmm. It's going actually more extreme, the other direction. I wonder, Ray had a story in Creative Loafing last week about the Pinellas chapter of DSA, the Democratic Socialists of America, growing after the election, primarily because of new members who are defected Democrats. Does that worry you?
Disaffected Democrats.
I'm sorry,
disaffected Democrats. Well, what worries me is the fracturing of us, period. That's what worries me. We are supposed to be the big tent party. I don't understand how that doesn't just get off the ground and be what it is supposed to be. I do think we can all get along, and we're all going to need to be together with this math, the math that you're talking about, these numbers, these voter registration numbers. And then when you go down and you break down the nonpartisans and how they vote, I was speaking to an elected right before the election, on election day, right before the results came out, and they were talking about how we needed 60% of the nonpartisans. We got 40.
Is that right?
Yes. So that's to Barry's point. I would agree with that very much.
Right. So that kind of reflects the actual makeup of the electorate at large, which is, again, statewide, I believe it's like 37, 38 Republican, 32 Democrat, 29% independent, 26 NPA, but 3% Green Party, Libertarian Party, et cetera. Again, if you're just tuning in right now, it's 11:24 in the AM here. You're listening to Skinny here on WMNF 88.5. Mitch Perry with Ben Montgomery. We're speaking with our guest, Jennifer Griffith. She is the outgoing chair of the Pinellas County Democratic Party, talking about, again, what Democrats are talking about, if they're talking about politics at all these days, which is what went wrong, how do we improve it? And there is a lot of that. There's a lot of postmortems. I actually saw one.
Listeners, if you want to join this conversation, by all means, give us a call at 813-239-9663. Send us a text, 813-433-0885, or send an email to DJ@WMNF.
Now, do you know, so do you know Steve Shale? Steve Shale?
I don't know him personally.
Yeah, he's a Democratic operative out of Tallahassee. Yes. He worked on Obama's 2012 campaign. He was a super PAC for Joe Biden in 2020 nationally. So Steve's a big guy in the Democratic Party. And he wrote a piece the other day that got a wide circulation. In fact, it would be great maybe to get him on the show in the next few weeks or months. And he wrote about the Democratic collapse. He said, I watched the Democratic collapse in Florida. I feel it's happening nationally. Mm-hmm. And he wrote, and this is, I've talked to some friends about this. So you go back to Barack Obama's victory in 2012, he won 332 electoral votes, but 53 of them came from Florida, Ohio, and Iowa, which are now considered solidly red states. And, the fact is, with the demographics, Florida's probably going to get maybe another seat or two in 2030. So will Texas. It's going to be harder in the electoral college for Democrats. That's something they're at the contend with. So you have to win, these voters over. And he wrote anyway. He says, let's see here. Steve writes, it's not a canary in a coal mine. It's a massive boulder landing in front of you on the only road home. And he also writes, our side believes we should only communicate on issues where voters give us an edge. But when the median voter isn't there or is worried about other issues, our communication echoes in a void. It's no wonder so many voters wonder what the hell we're all about. And he just goes on. I really urge people to look at that. And he says in Florida, we've seen what happens when we stop listening without course corrections. More and more states are going to live through what I lived through for the last 8 years. He thinks, Florida's a microcosm of what might happen in America. And again, we'll see what happens. Obviously Donald Trump may go overboard, and this Republican small majority in Congress. It almost seems like the Democrats are hoping for that, though. And if it doesn't happen, if people like what the Republicans do here, I don't know, how they're going to win some of these voters back.
That won't bode very well for us if they like what happens in the next 2 years. But no, that is something. And to Steve Schill's point, I agree. I think that if you think about Obama's first 2 years and doing the ACA between 2008 and 2010, and then the retribution that we got in 2010 because of that
Tea
ACA.
Party.
Yes. Or Affordable Care Act. Yes. And the Tea Party and all of that. So I think the best we can hope for is something along those lines.
2018 was big like that. Democrats took the House in 2018. Nancy Pelosi became the Speaker of the House for the second time, right? Yep. After the first couple of years of the Trump administration. So, that right. Again, and there's a lot to see, and we see with some of these cabinet selections, some very questionable moves right now.
Do we think that this sort of, I was almost going to call it a brain drain, but I wouldn't quite go there. This exodus of sort of political movers and shakers into the Trump administration is going to affect the long-term picture of politics in Florida.
Ooh.
Does this diminish Republicans at all?
I don't think it's going to diminish. They have so much control. I'm sorry. I'm just going to be very honest. That just flew out of my mouth. But they are in such a super majority. They're in such a position of dominance that I don't see.
Does this strengthen Republican control?
You see what happens because there's going to be two congressional openings here, right? Because let's see. So Mike Waltz is going to become the new national security advisor. That's a very Republican seat. It's going to stay Republican. The Matt Gaetz seat is the most conservative state in Florida. Matt Gaetz won over this Democratic opponent in November by 30 points. So it's going to stay Republican. So you're not going to see any movement there for sure. And then, of course, the Senate, Marco Rubio will leave. We'll get under Republican.
Yep.
We don't know who that will be. We only have a few more minutes here with you, Jennifer. Let's talk about the hurricanes, though, because obviously it affected everybody. It did affect you personally.
Very minorly, and I live on the beach. We got
Treasure
very,
Island,
very lucky. No, St. Pete Beach.
Okay.
But I get to see it. In fact, just even driving over here, you still see debris all the way into Tampa. So, and it's funny you asked that because that's part of this whole trajectory of maybe why Florida Democrats on the West Coast are in a depressed state. We lived through 2 hurricanes back to back, and then the most brutal election we've had ever. And it was a lot to deal with, and it's just the beginning.
Yeah. We've got a caller here. Let's go. We've got Keith from Wesley Chapel. Keith, you're on the air.
Hey, how y'all doing?
Good morning.
Good.
Great.
So, when you look at everything that happened, and you look at the electorate, Trump bamboozled, buffaloed, lied, did whatever it took, actually, and he won. Democratic Party, well, I'm not saying that you should do any of that, but they are so far out of step with what's really going on in the country, what people really want to hear. And let's just face it, Americans' memory is about as short as, I guess you probably can't say that on air, but anyway, let's say just a small finger maybe. And they're easily hoodwinked. They're easily convinced. They're easily to go along with the herd. They're easily to get riled up. However, in the end, even though they pay for all of that and say, oh, my God, what did I do? They'll do it again. We have a terrible history of ignorance about really what's going on in the country. And I just feel like, look, the dumbing down of America is complete.
Thank you, Keith. We're gonna move
I
on.
think about this all the time, Keith. I watched Void Deer in the George Zimmerman trial out in Sanford a few years ago, jury selection. And I watched a parade of people from, where is Sanford? What county is that? From there.
Osceola County or
called from there.
Central Florida.
One after the other. The reason they were in that room is they had never, they swore on paper they had never heard of the Trayvon Martin shooting at that point. And this happened in their backyard. And this is, several years later. Not to beat the point, but it was a parade of people who were info hermits who had decided not to pay attention to society. And I tried to think in my group of friends whether I knew anyone who was like that, and I couldn't come up with anyone. But there are a lot of people out there who just choose
more people
not,
out there than not, I guess.
Yes.
who don't pay attention at all on purpose.
Hey, we're going to go, and before Jennifer, you want to wait, and we'll go to another call first. Let's go to Nancy in St. Petersburg. Hi, Nancy.
Oh, hi.
Good morning.
Okay. Yeah. I don't think it would be bad if the Democrats in Florida would take a page from the playbook of Trump. Okay? I mean, think about this for a minute. It's all about entertainment. Ever since broadcast news decided to make news entertainment, you gotta remember back how that happened. Then everybody looks at it as entertainment.
Well, hold on. Nancy, I want to pick up. When did broadcast news decide to make it entertainment, in your opinion?
I mean, ABC, NBC, CBS. Remember when we had the three big ones?
Sure. Before cable news came out, you're saying, basically.
Well, news was news.
Mm-hmm.
And it has ceased being that anymore. It's more of an entertainment.
I see, yeah.
So people like this person because she's got blonde hair. Well, we got more bimbos doing the news now than I can't believe it. Who's to take that seriously? Okay, but that's just something else. But what I was trying to say was, why don't we have, like, he had the rallies? He even faked his own assassination twice.
Whoa.
So, come on, man.
Oh, my.
Seriously. Let's do stuff that will get people's attention.
It is an attention economy out there, and but you're suggesting the Democrats try to do things that are more newsworthy. Here's the thing. Here's the problem with that, as I see it. Having participated in a national news organization, both while Trump was president last, and then while Joe Biden was president, clicks fell off in a click-driven, politics-forward national news organization, Axios. Clicks fell off like crazy when Joe Biden became president. News loses its value when it doesn't exist in that form, the form that Donald Trump sort of makes it. And I think he knows that. He's very well aware of commanding that attention. The thing we say is no news is bad news, right? Like, if you're not in there, it's bad for you if you're a political candidate. But you're suggesting the Democrats go low?
Well, it worked for him, didn't it? Who's president?
Win at all cost.
I am not saying that that our democracy stoops so low.
Yeah.
I am saying that if you're going to be a politician who runs for office, you can't be Jimmy Carter, who is my favorite of all time. Even though they screwed him right and left, and he's still kept the faith. And he was a statesman, and we don't have statesmen anymore. I'm an old person, and I remember these things. And I'm just saying,
right?
That, if we want to win, it's about winning. It's not about being nice.
Great, Nancy. We're gonna move on, Nancy. Thank you so much. I will say this. Sorry, Nancy, I didn't mean to cut you off there. You're hearing some of this discussion not about entertainment value with Trump, but with Joe Rogan in terms of he's a very successful podcaster. The liberals need to have their own Joe Rogan. I don't know if that's the answer at all, but again, people are trying to come up with these different answers think they have to be competitive. I don't know. I mean, it's interesting though, but I think also about Trump, he's such a unique
Yes.
Character that we've never,
You can't copy it.
Yeah, you can't copy that.
No. And imitation is the sincerest form of flattery, I guess. But you can't copy that. He is. They can't even copy it inside the Republican Party.
Right.
If you think about their
That's
primary.
just right. There's nobody equal.
No, this is a phenomenon.
Right. Ron DeSantis, obviously, what happened to him there? He was a rock star, quote unquote rock star with the conservative world, and he got he got bludgeoned in Iowa. Okay, we've got one more call with Jennifer Griffith here. Let's bring in Becky from St. Petersburg. Becky Snowbird, you're on the air.
Hey, good morning.
Good morning.
I think the election results surprised a lot of people, where the Dems lost a significant number of black voters who were always the deciding factor. The Uhuru 3, which was a black liberation organization with a lot of white supporters, a big base, they were raided in St. Pete in 2022, indicted in Tampa, and likely to be in prison. So their sentencing is December 16th in Tampa Federal District Court. So, how does this all add up to freedom of speech and the big tent and all of that is waning, to say the least, falling apart. I'm calling out of concern. We need more reporting on that. We need people to show up for them December
16th. What date is they're going to be sentenced?
December 16th, 8 a.m. in Tampa Federal District Court.
Okay, thank you for that. Definitely. I will try to. I did write a little bit about that trial there. I think that's going to be it with us, Jennifer, here. What were your last thoughts here on the air here about what we just talked about here today?
Last thoughts on,
define it here in 30 seconds.
Well, it's just, I think that the lesson we need to learn is no demographic is a monolith, and we need to treat people like individuals rather than buckets. So we need to expand, and we need to do a lot more communicating. I think we should do some town halls, if not a lot of town halls, and go listen to people. Talking about 2010, I don't feel like we've done a town hall since the ACA, where everybody got ripped up and they stopped doing them. We need to go be in public with the public again.
Right. Yeah. Okay. Well, hey, we'll continue to follow you, Jennifer. It's been great to know you as a Democratic Party chair, and definitely so. We've been talking to Jennifer Griffith. She is the chair of the Democratic Party in Pinellas County, and now we're going to go segue to another segment here with Ben Montgomery.
And you're taking off.
I am. Okay.
All right.
So it's all you.
Take care. Watch Mitch later on television. Thank you so much. So we're turning now to a guest joining us via Zoom, and as I understand it, she might be driving, but Stephanie Davis is a filmmaker and the founder of Bouncy Boxer Media, which is a film and video production company in St. Pete. Her film, A New Year's Ride, is playing at the Tampa Bay Underground Film Festival, which runs through the weekend at NCG Citrus Park. That's over there at Citrus Park Town Center. Stephanie has been involved with the festival, as I understand it, since its founding, and we are happy to welcome her to talk for the next few minutes about what's going on out in Citrus Park this weekend. Thank you for joining us. Stephanie, are you there?
I am. Thank you very much for having me. I'm actually nice and parked, ready to go. Let's do this.
Fantastic. Are you parked at NCG? Is that where you were headed? To the
I am
cinema?
actually looking at it right now, yeah.
All right. What's going on? Is there a crowd gathered yet? Have they started showing films today?
I'm seeing some people start to walk in. The festival for day 2 actually begins at noon, so we should have some stragglers starting to come in, but it kicks off of the day of all the films starting to come through. Last night was the opening night. So Friday is always a fun, exciting time, and really excited to start it with a bang.
And this is something that anybody can show up to if they score a ticket, right? So open to the public, in other words.
Mm-hmm, absolutely, yeah. It's just right there in the cinema. If somebody gets done watching Wicked, they can come join us, get some tickets, and watch some independent films too. And what sorts of things will they find if they show up out there this weekend at Citrus Park? The beauty of T-Buff is that it's kind of everything. There's something for everybody. Like today, it starts off with, there's a feature film called Bonnie and Clyde, which is a road film in Europe. There's also a Stephen King adaptation, The Monkey. There's just all kinds of interesting films and shorts blocks where there's kind of a potpourri of everything, but every genre you can imagine. There's a lot of sci-fi, horror, drama, there's comedy blocks, there's some very experimental kind of artistic films too. There's musicals. There's something for everybody.
And are these all local filmmakers, or are these films by folks all over?
So they're films from all over the world. It is very heavy localized. So there is a lot of local films, both in features and in shorts. So there's going to be a lot of local people coming to represent. So you get to talk to the filmmakers and ask them how they made their films, watch their work on the big screen, which is always such a treat, is when we get to see our hard work up on that big screen.
Tell us about the film A New Year's Ride.
New Year's Ride is actually a sequel to our Christmas movie, The Christmas Ride. So it takes place 2 years after. But it's a rideshare driver who drives around Tampa on New Year's Eve, picking up various passengers. We got some quirky people, some fun conversations. And then kind of serendipitously, her ex-boyfriend happens to be one of her passengers. And it kind of opens up some old wounds and some old feelings. And there's a lot of heart to it. There's great performances. I'm so proud of everybody who was involved with it.
That's got to be super exciting for you. Is this the first time it's playing in this fashion? Yeah, because most of these films, right, they go straight to straight to home streaming or to DVD or what's the format now?
Yeah, some people will put them on YouTube. Some will go straight to streaming. But a lot of the locals, they like to at least play in one of the local festivals, and T-Buff is a big local champion for it. Yeah. So there are quite a few local filmmakers that like to put it in the festival first and then kind of see where it goes from there.
You know, I was driving across the Gandy Bridge this morning, and I happened to notice the sky wasn't clear, but the clouds are sort of high, and I could see almost I could clearly see the Sunshine Skyway Bridge, and the water in the bay was still, and the sky was a certain hue of blue that was just beautiful, and I was reminded for a split moment of this great shot that I love from the film Spring Breakers. The director Harmony Korine, big budget film, shot in this area a few years ago, back in the 20-teens. But I think it was over the Courtney Campbell Causeway, but this big sort of sweeping sky shot, and it showed all of kind of the beauty of this area. And I wondered, what is the state of filmmaking in Tampa Bay right now? Like, is that summarizable? Do you have a sense of that? What's going on? Are we drawing? Are films being made here? Are we drawing productions like we used to?
Actually, yeah. I know both Film Tampa Bay and Film St. Pete, the two film commissioners at each of those places, they work very hard to bring other people into our area. I know, I can't think of his name, but it was the kid from The Walking Dead. He had a film that used the big pirate ship at Gasparilla. It was like a comedy film that they were doing. There have been like certain scenes from big movies, like I think the Chris Evans movie Pain and Gain from Netflix. They did a scene here in Tampa, but we're constantly getting people coming in and out of the area. We have these beautiful locations that you can't replicate in visual effects or just kind of creating them. I know Savannah, Georgia tried to recreate Ybor, but I mean, Ybor is Ybor. You can't really recreate it. But a lot of our local film commissioners, they have incentives to bring these bigger productions here, which also stimulate our local economy, which is great. Yeah.
And I understand you're involved with an outfit called Women in Film and Television Florida, which advocates for parity in the entertainment industry. How does that manifest when films are coming to town to shoot here?
WIFT is a really great organization. It's funny, we just had their big Christmas party last night. And it's just such a great collective of people. And what they do, too, is they help with, like, connections, or there's grants and documentaries and things like that they try to connect people with, which is really great. It's also a really supportive group that if somebody needs help or they're looking for somebody, to work with, then it's kind of an outlet too, to be like, hey, this production is looking for someone. There's all these professionals who are part of WIFT. And so it's just a phenomenal organization to get people together and to kind of rise up the women in film in the area.
How is what, can you give us a sense of what that picture is like right now? Is there still disparity? There's still work to be done to place women in important roles in the film industry?
There definitely is still some work to be done, and it's kind of hard to say exactly how to do it. But a lot of it comes with, I know for me, my mentality is that instead of trying to prove myself to people, I'm just going to do it, and you're going to watch me do it, and you're going to be like, oh, well, obviously I need to work with her, or things like that. And it's kind of different with everybody, but there's really kind of no one-hand solution to get more women behind the camera or in these bigger roles. The biggest thing is the connections, the people that you know, and organizations like Women in Film and Film Fatales, Alliance of Women Directors, they do their best to help make connections so that way women can help other women rise to some of these really great roles.
Can you tell us about, so you've been involved with the festival since its origin, is that right?
Mm-hmm.
Can you tell us about how it came together, the Tampa Bay Underground Film Festival? And it was founded 10 years ago.
Yeah, this is the 11th year. The festival came because a group of filmmakers were getting kind of frustrated with them submitting their feature film and getting so many rejections. So they said, you know what, we're just going to make our own. And it's really blossomed throughout the years. And a lot of that has to do with the support of the local filmmakers, which is great. So from year 1 to now year 11, it's really grown. And there's a lot of these blocks tend to be sold out. The awards ceremony that's going to happen tomorrow night tends to be pretty packed, and everybody's just so supportive. It's great energy.
And it looks to me like there are maybe 17 feature films, if I'm reading the schedule at T-Buff's site, right?
I think so, yeah.
And I think so, yeah. Many, many dozens of short films. Do you know how many total were accepted in the festival this year?
I know total there's like over 200 films altogether, so it's probably close to 200 shorts.
And what's required for those of us who are dumb about this sort of thing? What's required to what makes a short? How long? What's the time limit?
Well, some people have 30-minute shorts, and some people have 3 minutes. So it kind of depends. But they have to fit. Like a block is created in like a 90-minute block, and so the shorter the better kind of thing. But anything that's under 40 minutes is considered a short film. So you'll get some films that are 25 to 30 minutes, and then some films that are like 2 or 3. So it's kind of a little mix of it.
The films that have shown at this festival in the past, have any of them sort of achieved great success after launching here? Do you know? Are there any success stories? What is success?
I was just going to say, it kind of depends on what you view as success.
Yeah.
We've had our feature film, like my film, Hot Mess in a Wedding Dress, played at T-Buff, and we're on almost all the streaming platforms. A lot of times the features that play tend to go on streaming platforms to where a broader audience will get to enjoy them. But as far as like a whole other, Blair Witch Project or Paranormal Activity kind of success thing, I don't believe there has been. But again, it kind of depends on what your definition of success is. But a lot of filmmakers, they just want their work to be seen, and that will lead to more work, which kind of keeps going and going and going until they get into those bigger and bigger projects.
Can you tell us what you're excited about seeing in the next few days? What fires you up?
I really love features, and we've got some really great features at the festival. Like today at 3:50 is a feature film called I'm Okay, We're Okay, and the filmmaker's from New York, and she is actually going to be here for it, which is really exciting. And her character has dissociative identity disorder, which is commonly known as multiple personalities. So that actress who wrote and directed it, she's playing like 7 or 8 different characters in it. And it's just really exciting to see something like that and to watch an actor flex. And then tomorrow, there's quite a few features. And at the same time of a New Year's ride is Haunted Happy Hour, which is another local feature film. And it looks so fun. So excited to see see all the different kinds of features. On Sunday,
the log line for this, the log line for Haunted Happy Hour is not to be overlooked. When Jay, a down on his luck bar owner, concocts a scheme to get his bar added to a local ghost tour, an actual ghost is unleashed. Will business boom, or are Jay and his bar doomed? I like this.
It sounds like so fun, and it's going to be really exciting, especially because there's local people involved with it too.
Yeah. And I interrupted you from continuing. I'm sorry.
Oh, it's okay. On Sunday, there's a sci-fi movie at 105 called Sync, and that's a director from LA, and she's actually on a plane right now coming. So that one looks visually fun. Like, there's a lot of beautiful colors, and it's a really interesting premise about like a dystopian future where people can sync up their minds, and she syncs up with a narcissist. And before the sync is complete, she has to figure out how to stop it.
Wow.
And so it's really interesting, and visually it looks really fun. And of course, my favorite kind of blocks are I love the high school and the college blocks, just to see young filmmakers and what they come up with. It's great.
Do you know offhand when the high school and college blocks are?
They are typically on Saturday. So Saturday at 10 a.m. is a student's block. 11:15 is another student's block. I think Sunday at 11 a.m. it looks like another student block. There's quite a few student films, and then some of the college films kind of fit into other genres, so they'll be kind of sprinkled in to other blocks depending on if they're, a horror or a drama or things like that. They may not all just be in a college block.
What can someone expect to see in the student block of the Tampa Bay Underground Film Festival? I mean, is this something that what am I trying to say? Where you sort of recognize potential? Is that the notion here? Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
For sure. There is. That's why it's my favorite, because you see what they've made as like a 16-year-old, a 17-year-old. You're like, wow. In 5 years, what is this kid going to come up with? Like, the imagination that some of these kids have is really fun, and kind of the way that they see the world now, before, they experience the world and all the craziness that involves with it.
Yeah.
It's just so pure and beautiful and super fun.
Do you think this is a good place to be a young filmmaker, someone who's striving? Yeah.
Absolutely. We have some of the most beautiful locations in the world, and a lot of really great resources. And the majority of like the businesses here, they're so supportive of the arts, especially in St. Pete. We filmed in St. Pete so many times, and I don't think I've ever been told no whenever I've asked if we could film somewhere, because everybody's just like, oh, that sounds like fun. Let's be part of it. I love this.
Yeah. How about that? So anything else you're excited about seeing outside of the student blocks? What's on your radar?
I mean, T-Buff is up to me always like the filmmaker family reunion, because everybody that I love, we all come together and watch movies together and just to experience so much fun. So I'm excited to see all my friends and people that I haven't met and get to experience movies with people that I care about.
Any local films that folks should definitely pay attention to, either made by local people, shot elsewhere, or things that are shot here that where Tampa Bay is represented on screen in an interesting way?
Yeah, Saturday has a lot of local stuff. At 12 o'clock is Uncivil War, which I believe was shot in Pinellas, but it may be a different county. But he has beautiful locations in there too, and that's one's going to be really fun. And then Haunted Happy Hour, of course, mine. And then
and when is
Sunday's got a couple
when is the New Year's ride?
It's Saturday at 5:40 p.m.
Okay, and then the last one you said, which I cut you off. I'm sorry.
On Sunday, there's a couple films from Miami that are going to be playing like in the morning, which will be really fun. But there's all kinds of local films throughout each of the days. If you just show up at any time, you're most likely going to be able to see a local film.
What should what's the crowd? I mean, does this draw a healthy number of folks? Is it packed? Are people going to be having a hard time finding a seat? Should they get tickets now?
Some blocks will definitely be packed. Yeah. There's other ones that need a little love. So if you wanted to look at that block and it's packed, I guarantee you the competing block probably has some seats. But it's always good to get a day pass or get some tickets and kind of come in and enjoy. But it's a good like potpourri of people of all ages, all walks of life. And it's both filmmakers and just general public or filmmakers' friends. Sometimes you just get people who randomly show up. Like there's probably going to be a couple people who get done with a Wicked or Moana, and it's just kind of like, what's this? It's like, oh, come see our shorts block. It's $10 to come see it. They're like, oh, okay, that sounds fun.
Yeah, right. That's fantastic. So it is affordable. I'm just looking on the website. It turns out a all access VIP pass, the highest level you can buy is $35. I guess that gets you into everything. Then day passes are $20 each. And by the way, if you want to look at the schedule for the films playing at the Tampa Bay Underground Film Festival, you can find that at tbuff.org. tbuff.org. That's Tampa Bay Underground Film Festival.org. The word underground, I think, is interesting because it suggests to me that there might be something unexpected and a little interesting. Why that? What does that mean? We're not talking about a genre of film, right? Right. This is the
typically an underground
nature.
Festival. Yes, independent, lower budget, not mainstream kind of thing. Very imaginative type films and kind of people who don't have as many resources as like Netflix and Universal and things like that. We're just creating stories in the underground, and we just want you to come see them.
How and Bouncy Boxer Media? How did this start up? Can you tell us just a little bit about the history of this company?
Yeah, I started the company in 2012 just because I wanted to start telling my own stories. I'm an actor as well, and I was getting kind of tired of the roles that I was going out for. And so the best way to change the world is to do it yourself. And so we started making short films, which led to some features. And we've been having a blast ever since. But we tell women's stories and really just we just tell people you can do it. You don't have to ask for permission. Just do it.
Yeah, nice. Speaking of what's coming up for 2025, what's your next, what's on the horizon for Bouncy Boxer?
We definitely want to do some shorts next year. It's been a bit since we've done some, and it's a great way to just kind of play around and do some new things. But I'm constantly writing. I'm constantly coming up with things. And once a certain amount of money is in my bank, I'm ready to film it.
That's fantastic. Well, thank you so much, Stephanie. What are we leaving out? Anything else? How do people find you on social media, Bouncer Boxer Media?
Yeah. Bouncy Boxer Media is on Instagram and Facebook. Just look up the company, and that's the handle is Bouncy Boxer Media. I am Stephanie Directs, and Stephanie is spelled with an F. I'm on Instagram and Facebook as well.
Stephanie Davis is a filmmaker and founder of Bouncy Boxer Media, film and video production company in St. Pete. Her film, A New Year's Ride, is playing at Tampa Bay Underground Film Festival, which runs today through the 8th, all weekend long, pretty much all day at NCG Citrus Park up at Citrus Park Town Center in Hillsborough County. She's been involved with the festival since its founding. It's in its 11th year, and we're so glad she could join us today to give us a little bit of that history and what's going on there. So make sure you tune into all that stuff. Thanks so much to Skip Sassy for running the boards today, to Irene for taking the calls. Coming up next here on WMNF is Art in Your Ear with Joellen Schilke, the hostess who loves you the mostest. We are, as always, the Skinny. I'm representing Mitch and Ray, who are no longer with me. I'm Ben Montgomery, and I'm glad to be joining you today. You all have a good weekend, and take care.
This is WMNF Tampa.